Breaking news, movies are back. This has been the biggest weekend in box office history, and it's been powered by two blockbusters. The Odyssey by Christopher Nolan and Spider-Man Brand New Day. Those two movies raking in more than $400 million for Hollywood. It is a huge indicator that movies are back on the upswing, and here in Hollywood, it feels at least 90 degrees here, an extreme heat warning, but it's not stopping people from coming out to see these huge movies.
Movie theaters are still great. Can't get that movie theater popcorn anywhere else.
I think cinema's just back, and I'm really excited about that. And I'm just really excited about the state of cinema right now.
Amazing, spectacular, sensational, best of all time. Spider-Man Brand New Day just crushed so many box office records, but the Odyssey ain't no slouch either, as it's nearing a huge milestone after just 3 weekends in theaters. It's Monday, and we've got the Mac Daddy of all box office reports. The #1 movie in America was, of course, Spider-Man Brand New Day. Shot on a $225 million budget, box office experts were predicting its opening to be in the mid to high $200 million range, though some were saying it could go over $300 million. Well, Sony and Marvel Studios blew all of those estimates out of the water. On Sunday, the trades reported that Brand New Day opened to $355 million domestic. That's just the US and Canada, which was good enough for it to claim the second biggest opening of all time. But today, Monday, those numbers were adjusted up, and it turns out Brand New Day opened to $360 million domestic, which officially breaks the record for best opening weekend ever. The previous champ was Avengers Endgame, which did $357 million domestic in 2019. No other movie has even come close to hitting $300 million opening weekend domestic. The previous #2 was Spider-Man No Way Home with $260 million. Side note, box office numbers are always reported without adjusting for inflation. This is entertainment industry standard practice, so that's what I go by. Okay, back to Spider-Man's numbers. Its worldwide total is truly mind-boggling. Spidey added an insane $572 million overseas, bringing its global weekend total to $932 million in just 5 days. That's the second biggest global opening of all time, behind Endgame, which did $1.22 billion worldwide in its first weekend. Because of the cut theaters take from ticket sales and additional marketing costs, conventional wisdom states movies need to gross 2.5 times their budget to break even in theaters. So, like I said, Brand New Day's reported production budget was $225 million, meaning its break-even point was possibly around $560 million. So that means Sony has potentially turned a profit of more than $350 million already. No doubt the champagne corks were flying higher than Spider-Man at Sony this weekend and this morning. Variety said the movie obliterated box office expectations, and they called this record opening heroic, mind-blowing, and jaw-dropping, while The Hollywood Reporter called it head-spinning and spectacular. Okay, so what other records did Brand New Day achieve? It did the biggest Thursday preview day of all time with $72 million, and when you add that into Friday, it did the best Thursday plus Friday ever with $168 million, beating Endgame's $157.4 million Thursday and Friday. It set opening weekend records in France, Brazil, Spain, Peru, Colombia, the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Chile, Turkey, Ecuador, and Belgium. And this was also the best opening weekend ever for 4DX and ScreenX theaters. Brand New Day did some filming with the ScreenX format in mind, which was touted in its marketing campaign. So how the hell did this happen? Well, Spider-Man is the most popular superhero, period. And Tom Holland has been playing the character long enough to build a real bond with the audience. No Way Home was huge, but it was also 5 years ago, so there was a lot of pent-up demand. Sony, Marvel Studios, Destin Daniel Cretton, and Tom Holland put a lot of thought and care into the movie, which led to very strong reviews and audience reactions. Audiences gave it an A cinema score in theater exit polls, and its popcorn meter scores 98%. Sony's marketing department brilliantly slow-rolled the movie's promotional materials, which built a lot of hype and record-breaking trailer views. Also, hiding the ball on Sadie Sink's character was a smart way to build mystery. But mostly, it's Spider-Man. There's not much more to it than that. And oh yeah, you know what else is so impressive about this? It did it without IMAX screens, because they're currently being held by Tom Holland's other blockbuster, The Odyssey. The Odyssey did $51 million domestic in its third weekend in theaters. Its worldwide total is now $911 million, meaning it will cross $1 billion this week. week. The Odyssey's production budget was $250 million, so by the 2.5x rule, its estimated break-even was $625 million, though some reports said the Odyssey needed $750 million to break even. Either way, it's now safe to say the Odyssey has turned a profit of hundreds of millions of dollars in theaters. Spider-Man Brand New Day, by the way, will be coming to some IMAX screens this coming weekend, as the Odyssey's exclusivity deal with IMAX was only for 3 weekends total. Anyway, the entire domestic box office this weekend hit a record $430 million. Yes, that's right, without adjusting for inflation, it was the most lucrative movie weekend of all time. And movies are so back. Year to date, the total domestic box office is at $6.19 billion, up 15% from last year. And by the end of 2026, it's looking like US theaters will cross $10 billion total for the first time since 2019. Alright, now let's check in on the flops in a segment I'm now calling Flop Watch. Moana looks absolutely cooked. It fell another 50% this week, doing $5.3 million. It won't pass $300 million in theaters, and I'll remind you, it also cost $250 million to make, so its break-even was likely in the $600 million range, and it's going to be hundreds of millions of dollars below that. Everyone has been amazed at Angel Studios' AI-aided Young Washington film doing $46 million in theaters so far, but it reportedly cost $20 million to make, so its break-even is possibly $50 million, and it's really slowed down in recent days. Likewise, Olivia Wilde and Cooper Hoffman's indie comedy I Want Your Sex was DOA. It did just $600,000 on 700 screens. Oh, and one correction about Hadestown. Last week I said it didn't beat Hamilton's record opening for a Broadway live capture, but Hadestown was adjusted up after I published this video last week, and Hadestown did indeed dethrone Hamilton. It's now at $18 million total. Looking ahead to this weekend, we've got a pile up of smaller releases. The Purge-esque rom-com One Night Only, Broken Lizard Super Troopers 3, Jane Schoenbrun's Teenage Sex and Death at Camp Miasma, Eli Roth's Ice Cream Man, and Matt Johnson's Tony in limited release. But none of them are projected over $12 million, so expect a Spider-Man repeat.
Tom Holland has the #1 and #2 movie in the world right now, and here's why that's almost impossible. Right now, Spider-Man Brand New Day is the biggest movie on Earth, grossing nearly $1 billion in 3 days, while Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey is right behind it at #2 globally, and somehow Tom Holland stars in both. At first, that doesn't sound that crazy until you actually realize how Hollywood works. Big budget movies typically take 3 to 5 years to make. They're produced by different studios, they have different directors, they have different release dates, and most A-list actors only headline one blockbuster every year or two. For one actor to have the 2 biggest movies in the world at the same time, everything has to go perfectly. Both movies have to avoid delays, they have to release within weeks of each other, and both have to become massive global hits. That's why it almost never happens. The last actors widely recognized for pulling off something similar was Michael J. Fox in 1985 with Back to the Future and Teen Wolf, and Leonardo DiCaprio in 1998 when Titanic was still dominating as The Man in the Iron Mask was coming out. But here's where it gets even crazier, because the money Tom's gonna make from these movies is wild. He reportedly earned $20 million up front for Spider-Man and about $10 million for The Odyssey. But on the back end, he could easily make another $40 to $50 million from performance bonuses. And Spider-Man just delivered the biggest opening weekend in movie history. However, the biggest payday might not even be these movies, it's his next contract. When you prove you can headline the biggest superhero franchise in the world and one of Christopher Nolan's biggest films at the exact same time, your value changes overnight. Plus, Marvel and Sony are gonna give Tom whatever he wants just to keep making Spider-Man movies.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to y'all, bro. I better not hear a single soul comparing super shit and Batman to Spider-Man ever again, because dog, what the actual fuck do you mean Spider-Man Brand New Day made almost $1 billion worldwide on its opening weekend? Damn! Yes, you heard that correctly, bro. Let me say that shit one more time, bro. Almost $1 billion worldwide on its opening weekend. Holy shit, bro. So yeah, if you guys didn't know, it just came out that Spider-Man Brand New Day opened up to $927 million worldwide on its opening weekend, which officially makes it a top 3 biggest opening weekend of all time in the box office, bro. Right behind Avengers Endgame. Now look, I don't know about you guys, but me personally, I kind of had a feeling this shit was gonna happen, okay? We got a Spider-Man movie with Hulk, Punisher, fucking Jean Grey, and a bunch of other fucking villains. We got Peter dealing with mutations and shit, you feel me? He's got organic webbing and shit like that. Like, dog, I knew this shit was gonna go crazy. But $927 million on its opening weekend type of crazy? Nah, I did not expect that shit. You know, me personally, I was thinking a cool little 850, you know, maybe 900, but dog, over 900? 927? Oh my goodness, bro. That right there is fucking insane, bro. Like, dog, at this point, you gotta go ahead and get Spider-Man 5 greenlit. Like, bro, at this point, we cannot wait 5 more years for a sequel, bro, because, dog, you see the fucking numbers, bro. Spider-Man is your fucking guy. Like, dog, Kevin Feige, I know there's some shit going on with Sony and stuff like that, you feel me? It's kind of hard to make a Spider-Man movie ASAP, but, dog, if you're making damn near $1 billion on your opening weekend, Do what you gotta do. Go ahead and get Spider-Man 5 greenlit, Spider-Man 6, Spider-Man 7. Go ahead and get all them bitches greenlit because, dog, Peter Parker, we need more Peter Parker, bruh, and the numbers speak for itself. Anyways, y'all, with all that being said, what do you guys think about Spider-Man Brand New Day making almost $1 billion worldwide on its opening weekend? Because me personally, holy shit, bro, this shit's fucking crazy.
This is spectacular because Spider-Man Brand New Day just made history at the box office, beating out Avengers Endgame. Yeah, that's right, I did not stutter, and I'm just gonna say what we already know. Spider-Man is the greatest superhero of all time, bar none. It's Vince Carter at the dunk contest over. And this proves that he's top 3, and he's not 3 or 2. And Spider-Man isn't just the most popular superhero of all time, but he's coming for that most iconic chain too. But not only that, because we also learned that Spider-Man Brand New Day will be getting an IMAX release. IMAX saw the numbers and said, yeah, let me get a slice of that Joe's Pizza. And records are being broken, everybody loves Brand New Day, but I got something to say. They left some crumbs along the way, and y'all know me. If I get some crumbs, I'm about to give y'all a 5-star meal. But either way, me and you know what we gotta do. We gotta talk about it because I want Spider-Man! First things first, rest in peace, Uncle Phil and Uncle Ben and Aunt May for real. But over the weekend, Spider-Man Brand New Day did the unthinkable and became the highest grossing film of all time domestically, beating out a record that I thought would never be broken in Avengers Endgame, which made $357 million at the domestic box office in 2019, because Brand New Day made a web full of $360 million domestically. Like, do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? Spider-Man Brand New Day made $360 million and is now the highest grossing film of all time opening weekend domestically. Avengers Endgame still got that worldwide chain at $1.2 billion opening weekend worldwide, but Brand New Day is right there at $930 million opening weekend worldwide. Yeah, whoever that bozo executive was that said that Gen Z doesn't care about superhero movies anymore must not realize that when we get mid and bad superhero movies, we always got that break glass in case of emergencies. Hey, geezer, hold something for me real quick. I don't think you guys realize how insane this number is because we're talking about Avengers Endgame, people. Avengers Endgame. Spider-Man Brand New Day is a grounded, back-to-basic Spider-Man story that, albeit has Hulk, Punisher, and to avoid spoilers, Sadie Sink's character, who's going to be a major MCU character moving forward, was still a smaller scale story than Avengers Endgame. And I was expecting Brand New Day to be successful at the box office because duh, it's Spider-Man, but I was not expecting it to be this successful. But to put it into perspective, if we look at Spider-Man No Way Home, which came out during a global pandemic without a wide release in China, because China didn't want the Statue of Liberty in the movie, and they said, nah, we're good. And even then, No Way Home made $1.9 billion globally. It definitely helps that you have Toby and Andrew in that film, but Brand New Day quite literally came out at a perfect time. It has that backing from China, a bunch of other countries, but it's also building off of the success of Spider-Man No Way Home. And it's also been 5 years since we've seen this Spider-Man, so people were craving a live action Spider-Man. And now the top 4 highest grossing films on opening weekend domestically all have a Spider-Man in it. Brand New Day, Endgame, Infinity War, No Way Home. Like, nobody should be surprised. Spider-Man is the second highest grossing franchise of all time, and he's doing it by his damn self. The only franchise that's ahead of him is the MCU, and he's in those ones. But on top of this box office success, we're officially getting an IMAX release for Spider-Man Brand New Day, and tickets go on sale tomorrow, with screenings beginning on August 7th. They even gave us an official brand new IMAX poster for Spider-Man Brand New Day, and there are some specific sequences in this movie that were filmed with IMAX in mind. So, another reason to watch it again, say less. Now, I normally don't really care about box office numbers. To me, as long as the film got made and it's a good film, that's all that really matters to me at the end of the day. And thankfully for me, that happened with Brand New Day. It's a great movie. But now I really hope that Marvel Studios and Sony Pictures learn the right lessons from this film, because they almost didn't with No Way Home. They were going to make this movie a lot different. But I'm glad they decided to actually tell a Peter Parker-centric story, because I say this time and time again, man. What makes Spider-Man movies so special is when you really focus on that Peter Parker and Spider-Man dynamic. I love the drama. I love the human emotion. If there is no emotion packed behind the punches, they fall flat to me. And thankfully, Brand New Day brought that back. They brought back sincerity. They brought back those emotional beats, and they allowed our characters to breathe in scenes while still giving us high octane action. For as high as the high and as loud as the action is, we do get to spend a lot of time in the quiet moments, which I really love. And listen, I got love for the big three, but Spider-Man just swept up Batman and Superman. Because to put this into further perspective, this $930 million it made opening weekend, which it'll most likely be $1 billion by the end of today, is more than Superman made for its entire run, is more than what the Batman made for its entire run. And I'm not saying that those accomplishments aren't great, because the Batman to me is still crazy. That's a damn near 3-hour psychological thriller, slow burn, that isn't geared towards children. It somehow almost made $800 million. Like, that to me is a feat in and of itself. And the movie is fucking phenomenal. And the fact that this movie is getting great reviews and the word of mouth is like everybody needs to watch Spider-Man makes me feel like it's not going to have that much of a drop on its second weekend, because there's a lot of rewatchability with Spider-Man Brand New Day. I mean, I myself have watched it 5 times already, and I will be watching it more because I love going to the theater and experiencing it with other passionate Spider-Man fans. Right now, it's projected to make $2.1 billion and become the highest grossing Spider-Man movie of all time, but I wouldn't be surprised if that number gets close to 2.5. Either way, Spider-Man is the GOAT. If you love Spider-Man, I love you, and what I love most is that he brought us all together to share in this love. And if nobody told you this today, I love you. you. You matter. You belong here. Make sure you tell someone you love them today, and let me know what you think about all this down in the comments below. And as always, do it and follow for more.
Yeah, Tom Holland, I'm sorry. Marvel, Sony, and Disney, they're gonna make you do this until you're 90. There's no wanting to go be a family man, go start a family with Zendaya and retire. No, sir. They're gonna give you that Christopher Nolan type of check and just say, you're gonna take it. You're not gonna leave it. You're gonna sign that check and you're gonna be making 20 Spider-Man movies for us in the next 60 years or so.
Yeah, this is actually insane because what do you mean Spider-Man Brand New Day just had the second biggest opening weekend in box office history, making almost $1 billion in 3 days? We need to have a serious conversation about how this actually happened because everybody just wants to be like, oh yeah, it's Spider-Man, he's the most popular character ever. Which yes, is very true, but like Spider-Man Homecoming made $880 million in its entire box office run in 2017. Spider-Man Brand New Day just made more than that in its opening weekend alone. Again, more context, The Amazing Spider-Man 2 finished with $700 million worldwide in its entire run. Like, it's already the third highest grossing movie of the year, and it's less than $100 million behind first place. And again, this movie's been out for 3 days. So what exactly happened here? I think the first and most obvious reason Brand New Day is breaking all these records is because of No Way Home's success. But more importantly, the fact that No Way Home really ended on a cliffhanger. I know people don't think of it like that, but yeah, Ned and MJ not remembering Peter is a huge cliffhanger. Everybody wanted to know what on earth happens after this. Are they going to remember him? Is Peter going off on his own? There was so much intrigue and mystery around what was going to happen. Plus, you add on a 5-year wait between No Way Home and Brand New Day. That gave so much time for anticipation and hype to build up for this movie. The second reason Spider-Man Brand New Day is breaking all these records is because it simply had one of the smartest marketing campaigns I've ever seen in my life. And it's something every other film out there should learn from because it created so much mystery around the film that people felt like they had to watch the movie to get the answers. Like I mentioned, yeah, there was the mystery of if MJ and Ned are going to remember Peter, but then they also cast Sadie Sink and they had a very smart mystery around this role of who on earth is she playing, having theories and stuff for months about who she's going to play, which is kind of crazy how successful this was as a hype campaign because yeah, Sadie Sink is famous from Stranger Things, but she's not like one of those A-list household name celebrities yet. But yeah, her interviews of not being able to state what character she's playing in the movie were like some of the most viral marketing material from this entire film. It was genius. That's really just the beginning. There was also the mystery of who's the main villain of the movie and what's happening with Peter and his powers. Why are they mutating? All these question marks, and they had 3 full trailers for this movie and never revealed any of them in them, which nowadays every trailer just reveals like the entire plot of every film. But I hope movies learn from this. You gotta leave intrigue. You gotta leave a reason for people to be like, wait, I need to see this movie opening weekend to find out for myself what happens. I don't want to get spoiled for it. That's like the biggest driver of people going to movies now. I think another key point is that Marvel has kind of fixed superhero fatigue. Like, I know Batman and Spider-Man are already the exception anyways, but they really scaled back in their production. They had 0 films in between the Fantastic Four First Steps last year in July and Spider-Man Brand New Day. So even if people were kind of tired of these new movies, there was a long enough gap to be like, yeah, I'm ready to go and see a new superhero movie in theaters, especially when it's Spider-Man. I think what's especially smart about Spider-Man in the MCU and especially Brand New Day is that, yeah, it is connected to the greater universe. There's all these characters from other movies and setting up big things for the future of the MCU, but Spider-Man kind of feels like its own confined series in the MCU. Like, if you know about Iron Man, pretty much, you can just watch these films on their own and not have to know anything else happening in the MCU. And of course, there's also just the fact that the movie's legitimately great, so the word of mouth is spreading. Everybody's hearing this is one of the best Spider-Man movies of all time.